What's up, internet? What's up, girls and boys? I am Bianca, and I'm really excited to share with you all my experience while playing Disgaea 6 Defiance of Destiny for the Nintendo Switch with this spoiler-free list of things I liked about the game. As someone who owns and has played all of the Disgaea games from its first release back in the PlayStation 2 days to the enhanced ports that we now have, I am really, absolutely, positively psyched to have been able to play this game. So, without further ado, let's get right down to it. The first thing that I actually like about this game is the main character, Zed. Zed is a zombie whose goal is to beat the strongest god of destruction in recorded history. With his eyes set on his goal, he really doesn't care much about anything save for that. Though the game begins in such a fashion where that goal has already been met, and with Zed and his canine companion Cerberus recounting the events that transpired to get them to that point, right off the bat I found myself liking Zed's character and enjoying it more and more as he recounts his tale. He reminds me so much of Laharl from the first Disgaea game with his foul-mouthedness and his tunnel vision when it comes to reaching his goal to the point where nothing and no one else matters. Having said that, there is more to Zed's character and his story as it was with Laharl, which endeared his character and his character development to me. Which is pretty much spoiler territory, and I don't want to go over that part just yet. And despite being reminded so much of Laharl, Zed is his own person and has his own quirks that makes him stand out as one of the franchise's best characters to date. It also helps that he has such a cool character design for a zombie. Next up, the new Overworld models. Disgaea games have been around for so long and their characters have pretty much been a staple in all the titles in the franchise. Everyone who knows about Disgaea and Nippon Ichi games would no doubt know and be familiar with the ever-lovable klutzy basils / mascots, the Prinnies, whom I dream to be able to one day voice act one of. Having said that, it has been a while since these characters, or should we say classes, have been given such an updated look that they went from 2.5D to 3D, and it made them all look good. From the mercenary, cleric, and mage whom you first end up taking in as your party members, to the main characters of the game and the various enemies you encounter, the graphical overhaul is a nice change to the series. Another thing that I like is the special attack animations. Although its repetitiveness can take up much of your game time and can end up prolonging battles, I do enjoy the new special attack animations, those mini cutscenes that play whenever a character uses special attacks in Disgaea 6. The character models just look so good in those, even more so than their overworld counterparts, as they look much crisper doing their signature moves than when we're moving them along like chess pieces in the map. Granted, the slight delay prior to them playing can be a bit of a drag, but I just find it so cool to see these attacks up close and personal rather than how we got used to seeing them in the previous titles. So this next one actually came as a bit of a surprise, the new graphical modes settings. This was something I wasn't expecting to see on a Nintendo Switch exclusive game. I was so surprised by this that I momentarily forgot that this was a Switch exclusive and thought that they just left this option in the settings menu for some reason for the PlayStation 5 version of the game. But it is what it is. In D6, there is an option where you can choose which one the game will prioritize the most: graphical quality, performance, or a little bit of both. Though it is not blatantly obvious when choosing which option on handheld mode, the same could not be said when playing docked. Having tested all three options, I just went on ahead with the graphics priority one since it made the game a little more easier on the eyes. Next up, cheat mode. Now, I'm not one for cheats, but for this game, I decided to give this one a try and found that with how it was set up, it was still fairly done. Though you can increase values such as experience gained, mana and hell earned, and other such options, you can't turn all of these up. What they did with Disgaea 6 is that in order to make use of an increase in any of these post-battle rewards, you would have to decrease something. It's essentially the law of equivalent exchange at work. To obtain something of equal value must be lost. And I find that to be a fair exchange. Even with the cheats enabled, it doesn't automatically make the game any easier. What it does, however, is lessen the time it may take for grinding something out. And since this is completely optional, it means that it doesn't take away anything from people not wanting to use it. Super Reincarnation. Now, this is something totally new and fun in this title, Super Reincarnation. Super Reincarnation is a new gameplay feature where you can reset your level back to level 1 and in exchange get boosted stats and karma. Karma are points you can use to increase and improve the stats of your characters, so even if you go back to being level 1, you can still find yourself overpowering your enemies. It's a nifty system that I end up using with each new chapter of the game I unlock. It does add a little bit of challenge in the game, but with the item world and the stats carried over, it isn't such a steep hill to climb. Now, this is another new feature, auto battles. Let's face it, at the end of the day, especially with grinding for experience, mana, and hell, it can get very tedious and boring. Luckily, they finally added auto battles, which makes the process much more convenient. With auto battles, you can just sit back and relax, or try to at least, as your peons fight the battles for you. This is especially useful when you just want to get through the levels in the item world. The downside of this, you don't really get to plan and control how the bonus meter works, which essentially makes it near impossible to get the top level 9 bonus items at the end of each stage. Similarly, if you have the option to speed up battles enabled, you might have a hard time monitoring your character's health, and since auto battles on their default don't let your characters heal others, you might find yourself losing some allies along the way. You also don't get to choose which character gets what added post-battle bonus. Still, it really is a time saver if you want to multitask, but at the same time want to conquer such a long level as the item world. It also helps that you can turn this setting on or off at any time, even in the middle of a stage. So this next one is pretty much a given, the voice acting. When it comes to the Disgaea franchise, the voice acting has always been top-notch, and the same could definitely be said with Defiance of Destiny. Each character's voice matches their personality and fits the game and the franchise to a T. You can also choose if you want to play the game with the English or Japanese voices. And though I usually end up picking Japanese voices for most games that give me an option, the Disgaea franchise is one of the few exceptions, as their cast always delivers and their acting adds more to the absurdity, hilarity, suspense, or drama that is required in a specific scene. Plus, I do want to someday voice a Prinny, so I tend to listen to how others do it. And lastly, the most important of all, and the one that I really liked about this newest Disgaea franchise: the story. Disgaea is one of those franchises that don't really take themselves seriously story-wise unless they have to. It is quirky and fun and absolutely absurd, but at the same time, at its core is a tale that, like for the case of Disgaea 1, could really tug at your heartstrings. Oftentimes, their stories and the way it is told is comical and fourth-wall breaking, but sprinkled in bits and pieces are lessons that could be taken to heart. And Disgaea 6 Defiance of Destiny really hones in on that and on all the other strong points in the series when it comes to the game's narrative. It's one of the main reasons why I immediately fell in love and found myself hooked in playing this title. The twists and turns that often accompany Disgaea titles are presented well in this one too. And though I would like to expound on that, I'd rather you guys experience this game for yourselves, as despite some graphical issues, I see this as one of the best the franchise has released in a while. And there you guys have it. Now, there are a bunch of other features that I didn't tackle in this list, like the repeat battles, where with a single press of a button you can replay stages over and over and over again to grind and level up your characters to level 99,999,999, or the demonic intelligence that adds a little bit more strategy and planning into the series. Heck, I haven't even tackled the juice bar, where you can share experience from an experience pool to those characters you just created to level them up quicker or share mana points with them. Nor have I included the benchmark system called D-merits, where each character can grow even stronger just by achieving a milestone like getting 10,000 points on a stat. Really, there's so much more to talk about, but I haven't really used those new features much, and quite frankly, between the story and diving into the item world to level up my characters and boost my items, I have yet to fully explore the other new features the game has, and yet I'm still enjoying it. And quite honestly, it actually feels like Disgaea 6 is a lot easier to get into than previous titles. But hey, that's just my humble opinion. Anyways, if you guys are interested, Disgaea 6 Defiance of Destiny will be out in a couple of hours, June 29th, exclusively on Nintendo Switch. And if you're a fan of Hololive, you can get the free DLC featuring them once the game drops. And that's about all the time we have for today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, you guys know the drill. Dream on, fly on. Bye bye for now. Keep safe, everyone.